Have you ever gone through a season in life, and maybe you're even going through one right now, where you just felt like everything in life was falling apart and you have no idea why? Today, we're going to talk about why that happens astrologically.
Welcome to Frequency of Self, your go-to resource for the practical application of human design in life, business, and relationships. If you're ready to experience lasting transformation, hit subscribe.
Quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, these are things that people often throw out and discuss in our society, whether you are woo-woo or not. These are things that people talk about. And it's because there are very real times in our life where we are experiencing massive changes. Well, today we're going to be really diving into the astrological reason behind these changes and talk about the big three: your Saturn return, your Uranus opposition, and your Chiron return. We're going to be diving into specifics so that you can better understand not only when you're in a cycle, but also what's going to happen in that cycle and how you can get deeper information for your specific chart to better navigate this season. You are watching this video on YouTube, but Brenda and I have a podcast episode where we go even deeper into this subject. So if you'd like to spend longer time with us, go ahead and find that linked in the description below.
Part 1, Saturn Return.
Oh, the Saturn return, this lovely time of life where this planet of Saturn comes in and just kind of slaps you across the face and says, hey, are you living an authentic and aligned life? If not, it's time to make some changes. The reason that it's called a Saturn return is because it's when Saturn actually returns to the same placement in the sky as it was when you were born. From a human design lens, we often talk about this concept of neutrinos, that is a stream of information that is coming down from planets and impacting all of our cells. This is really why we are impacted by these planets. So from an astrological perspective, for someone who believes this or not, it's still going to have that impact. This is often what people talk about with the quarter life crisis. And it typically happens around 28 to 30-ish. You can actually go and type in Saturn calculator and find the Saturn calculator online and figure out when your specific one happens. And or, Brenda, what's our favorite way to learn about all of these cycles and when they happen?
The Neutrino Design app. It is so easy to use. All you have to do is go in, find your chart, scroll down to the bottom, and it will show you your major cycles, what year and date they're going to happen. So you can check to see if you have had, if you are in, or if you are going to have any one of these cycles we're going to talk about today.
So Saturn is the planet of discipline, and there's a lot of astrologers out there that really focus in on Saturn. In fact, when I took astrology, I took it with Deborah Silverman, and she is all about learning about Saturn as your life lesson, because not only does Saturn make this full circle around the wheel every 29 and a half years, but every 7 years, there's this significant moment that happens within your life. Let's talk about how to actually dig into this within your specific chart and what Saturn is here to teach you in this lifetime.
So if you go to the Neutrino Design app, then you are going to look at your chart, and on the right-hand side, you are going to see the Saturn symbol, which looks like an H with a T across the top. Next to that is going to be a number, and that is the gate that your Saturn is in. So if you click on that, then you're going to be able to see what that gate means, how Saturn might influence the discipline that's going in with that gate meaning, and you're going to be able to see the zodiac sign associated with that Saturn.
And that's honestly why the design app is so solid, is because you can just click and read about that gate, and it will give you an understanding. Now, in order to fully have a deeper understanding of working with your Saturn, you can also, once again, find that sign associated with it. So for example, for me, I have got gate 60.5, and it is in Aquarius. So you can turn to lovely Google, ChatGPT, Claude, whoever you are talking to these days, and you can say, hey, what does it mean to have a Saturn return in Aquarius? And it will begin to break down the description of how that can show up specifically in your life and what the life lesson associated with that is. So if you're watching this, we'd love to hear from you. Think back to 28 to 30. What was the big life change that you experienced during that time? Drop it in the comments below, because that'll give people even more of an idea of what unfolds during these times.
Part 2, Uranus opposition. The Uranus opposition happens around age 44. We talked about the return. Is the planet returned to where it was originally in your natal chart? Well, the opposition is where it's exactly 180 degrees across from. So it creates an opposition, and I'm not an astrologer, so I'll let Amanda talk a little bit more about this if she has something to add. But basically, an opposition can be a very tough time. It is energies that do not flow together. So it's Uranus across from Uranus. Do I have that right?
Yeah. And Uranus is the planet that really reveals how you're unique. If there were 13 people in a room and they were all embodying the archetypes of the planet, the Uranus one is a little bit weird, that is doing its own thing and standing out in its own way. Maybe it has a mohawk, like doing, whatever it is, right? And so there's this side of your Uranus that carries a certain frequency that when it gets into the opposition of that, it then looks across the way at the wheel and says like, hey, you're not quite living up to that uniqueness. Like, it's time to really embody that authenticity and look at it from a very different level.
Uranus is all about disruption, freedom, rebellion. It is shaking you loose from where you feel stuck, what's no longer aligned. So there's two things with this. One, if you are already aligned and you are on a life path that feels good and is empowering and you are just headed in the right direction, then you are incredibly empowered during this time. And you've got more energy and drive to move in that direction. If you are like me and you're not, or you weren't, then it can be incredibly disruptive. It is incredibly disruptive. It feels like nothing in your life is going right, and you really have to let go. This is a big time of surrender. And this is often when perimenopause starts. But when everything is shifting and falling apart and you have to let go, it just feels so much more dramatic. So if you are a female, perimenopausal, going through this, please drop a comment. Tell us about your experience with this. Part 3, Chiron Return. Chiron Return is, as we've been talking about, the return means it returns to the exact same place it was in your natal chart. That happens around age 49 to 51. This actually represents the core wound. I like to call it the mother wound, because generally for most of us, that is the core wound. Relationship with mother and childhood patterning, it all kind of comes back. This is also the time of midlife crisis. So oftentimes people are getting divorced, moving across the country, starting new jobs. It's not as strong as the Uranus opposition in that there's this empowerment piece of it. It's more of this reconciliation that begins to happen. You start to look back at your life, see where the wounds are, and start to move through them in both physical and emotional ways.
One of the things that's interesting about Chiron from a human design perspective is that it doesn't actually show up in your chart. And yet you can look it up in the Neutrino design app. All you do is you scroll down until you see this Astro HD. You can click on it and it'll say Chiron, and it'll tell you the gate that it's in, as well as the sign that it is in. Sometimes that gate, if they for some reason did include Chiron within the human design chart, sometimes it might even change your type. It does not, in my case, because it might complete an activation in your chart. But it's interesting because you can look at that gate and that energy, and you're going to learn some sort of life lesson around that gate or quality. And you can also take the sign associated with that. Once again, go to our friendly Google or whatever AI you use and type in Chiron Return in Leo, is my case, and see what that might mean for you. So once you know this gate within your chart and what sign it's in, what's unfolding during the Chiron return is it's really asking you, can you stop trying to erase this wound and instead let it become wisdom? So obviously neither one of us has gone through our Chiron return, but would love to hear from you guys. What has happened in around the age of 50? What life shifts occurred? What is the gate associated with it? If you love kind of processing these things and being able to talk it out with other people, that's really what our Frequency Collective is about, which is a membership where we have these hot seat calls, we have community calls, we have community posts. This is a core part of our methodology, is really helping you identify what cycle you are in and how that is relating to what is unfolding in your life and how to essentially live a life in alignment.
So if that interests you and we have our shit together, then you can find a link to that either in the description or in the show notes.
So there you go. Those are the 3 core cycles that we all go through in life. You don't get away from them. The 28 to 30 life transition, getting shook, everything falling out from underneath you. The 42, wake up and realize, are you your authentic self? The 50-year-old midlife crisis, really facing wounds that you have experienced throughout your life and needing to accept and embrace those and heal from them. Now you have the big picture perspective. Since you are here all the way at the end of this video, clearly you are our people. Go ahead and put a planet emoji in the comments below so that we know you are still watching. And because you're here, I have a feeling you would vibe with astrology and diving deeper into your natal astrology chart. So you can go ahead and watch this Astrology 101 video on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.